Hello, everyone. My name is Bernardo Sim, and I'm a writer for Pride. Today, I'll be speaking with Natalie Portman and Julianne Moore about May December. So let's get started. Natalie, your character in May December is seeking a true performance, but seems to jump to a few different conclusions about her subject. As someone who's played the real people in the past, like Jackie Kennedy, what do you think about Elizabeth's approach?
Well, I think Elizabeth's approach is a little. She maybe meddles with her subject a little more than I personally would, but it was really interesting to get to explore her process of going into it and her idea of what finding the truth and is, because of course there's an impossibility there of really finding any there is no real truth ever.
Yeah, absolutely. Julianne, it feels like your character is sometimes being completely unfiltered and sometimes pushing a narrative that just doesn't sound like the truth. When playing someone like that, do you make any internal decisions about who they are?
I think your assessment is correct. Like sometimes she feels like she's constructed this narrative and she's like living it to the fullest. And then when you see her in private moments, obviously it's like she feels pretty fragile and emotional. And you realize that there is this volatility to this character, that she's kind of swinging between these extremes. I think because of the narrative that she's constructed and the reality that she's crossed this huge boundary. So that's what's fascinating about her. So I think you do make some decisions before you go in, but you don't know it. The beauty of film work for me is that you don't always know what's going to happen until you're on camera. So you kind of think a lot about who somebody is. You sort of do the work, and then you hope that once you get there with all the elements, you'll be surprised by something. And that's sort of what I try to do.
Yeah. Natalie, you are not only an actress but also a producer in May December. What's been your experience as more women and people of color and LGBTQ people take positions of power behind the camera?
Well, I feel like it's such a more embracing community because it's more reflective of the worlds we're portraying and the world we live in, and so many more perspectives are part of creating the vision, and it's, being on a set like Todd's was just such a warm, embracing environment, and I think that that kind of multitude of experience really informed it.
Yeah. Julianne, Sammy Birch was in the casting department for the Hunger Games movies that you were in,
Yeah.
and now made her screenwriting debut in
Yep.
May December. What was it like to watch this transition in her career?
I did not know Sammy Birch when she was in the casting department of the Hunger Games. That was a massive, massive series. And so we didn't always know the people who were in production, people on a set. But I was so struck by this script. And she's so talented. And the script is really deceptive in its simplicity. It's like just people having this conversation. But once you get into it, it's like so muscular. It can hold so much. It would be really, really surprising how far Natalie and I could push things when we were together, how much it would hold, kind of. And also, I was just thinking about this too, the variety in it as well. There are so many times when our characters are so kind of intimate and it seems so easy, and the relationship is mutually flattering. And then there are other times when it's like super combative. And I think it's so interesting that Sammy kind of allowed for all of that.
Yeah, it's fascinating to watch those two characters interacting. And as a queer publication, I should say there is almost a queer undertone to the story, and we're always wondering if someone's going to cross a line here. And I wonder how was it to play a character like that, Natalie?
Yeah, I feel like it's thrilling to get these characters that do cross lines and do unexpected things and do things that, sometimes you feel like you're completely with them and sometimes you feel shocked by them, and you kind of never know where you stand in it, and it's a very unsettling and exciting experience, I think.
Yeah.
I love that
Go ahead.
feeling of like danger too. You know, I think I think we're excited by that on screen when we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, often in entertainment, things are telegraphed. Like, you know, you're allowing the audience to say, "Oh, this will happen next." I know, you know, he's going to go through the door. There's going to be a surprise party and whatever. And to be in a situation like this where you're not quite sure, you know, it's I think it's thrilling. Thrilling to watch if you think someone's going to cross a line on screen.
Yeah, yeah. Again, as a queer publication, I paid special attention to Gracie's son, who appears to be a queer character, and there seems to be a dismissal in Gracie's family of that son. And I was wondering, theorizing, if they felt like the son was a little jealous that his mom had ended up with his schoolmate. And I wonder if there was some undertone there that played a part in those family dynamics.
I think that that's an interesting observation, but I don't know that there's anything in what we were doing that would necessarily support that. I think that, if anything, the narrative that I think is existing is the difference in the way Gracie treats her daughters and her son. You know, she implicates her daughters in her female narrative. She really says, she talks about, body image and what you can wear and being on a scale, and then she treats her son, she's Charlie, with it's a lot about being, now it's time to be a man, and you need to be strong, and you need to be head of the family. And so I think what you might be reacting to are the very strong male and female narratives, which are huge for Gracie. You know, for her, that's the way she kind of looks at the world. And there's also a scene with Charlie where she's very gentle with him, where she sort of touches his face, and she's like, "You're my special boy. Come here. I want you watch out things." So if anything, she's elevating him to. It's a weird combination of, you have to, I need you to grow up and be a man, but also you are my man. So it's not I don't think it's healthy necessarily, but I don't know that there's an element of sexuality for the kids one way or the other, but very much gender-based, I'd say.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me. You are two Hollywood queens, beloved by the LGBTQ community, so it was wonderful to speak with you, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thanks so much.
Thank
you too.
you.